I will get the ball started. Welcome, everybody. Happy May the 25th. It's Wednesday, it's the middle of the week, and we are honored here to be welcoming our friends and peers throughout Mount Sinai. My name is Cesar Sevilla. I am one of the co-leads for the Asian Resource Network, along here with Freddie Vargas. We are thrilled to be here with colleagues from the Muslim community at Mount Sinai, our Muslim friends, family, and staff members, co-workers. We are here to celebrate Ramadan. We would love to, we're looking forward to a very exciting panel session with all of you. The Ramadan Reflections event, today's event, is co-sponsored with Office of Diversity and Inclusion and the Islamic Community of Mount Sinai, ERG. ARN, or the Asian Resource Network, is another ERG, another all-volunteer group made up of staff throughout Mount Sinai Health System in collaboration with many of our peers in the school as well. And it is our honor to create programming like this. So ARN is an employee resource group. We focus on inclusion, representation, equity, advocacy, and resources to support Asian American, and Pacific Islander employees at Mount Sinai Health System. We are comprised of and open to all employees around the system. We'd love to have you here. We'd love to have you at our future events, and we will include more information about how to get in contact with us in the chat later in the event. For all of you, please be aware again, this meeting is being recorded and will be available for future viewing on ODI's YouTube channel. You'll see an email about that sometime next week. But just be mindful that we are being recorded. This is a panel discussion. We have moderators, and we are asking the panel and the moderators to take lead, and that all the audience members will be able to participate both in the chat. We're free to send accolades, celebrations of things that you're hearing, submit questions into the chat, and around after about 30 or 40 minutes or so, we will get around to a Q&A session and actively address any questions, comments, celebration, or stories that are coming from the audience. So you will have an opportunity to chime in, but please use that opportunity, use the chat, and we appreciate and respect all of you being respectful audience members as well. So please remember, stay on mute for now. Let's stay off video for now so we can focus today's event on the panelists, but later in Q&A, we can open up a little bit more. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you all for joining, and I'd love to pass this over to the moderators.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm really so excited to be part of this program. Excited to have you all join us. My name is Roeda Faraj. I am the Executive Director of Pharmacy for the downtown campus in Brooklyn. And I've been with the system a little over 2 years. Before we do anything else, I would like to take a minute to acknowledge the 2nd anniversary of the George Floyd murder. And to acknowledge the horrible mass shooting that happened yesterday. So if we would all just take a minute and reflect before we get started. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone so much for that moment of silence there. I'm your co-moderator here with Roeda. My name is Hiram Khan. I am at Mount Sinai Morningside and very happy to be here with all of you today. Just to get started, I know that many of you know about Ramadan, but real quick, Ramadan is a month of the Islamic calendar where Muslims fast for 30 days, and that fasting is done from dawn to dusk. And so that really means no food and no water. I know a lot of people ask about that, but yes, no water. And so it's a real time for so much more than just having no food. And that's why we're here today. And so I'm going to pass it on back to Ruwaida so we can begin our panelist discussion. Ruwaida.
Thank you. So as we have shared with you, we put this program together so that we can share our experiences as observing Muslims who fast during Ramadan, and our experiences and what it means to us. Oftentimes people hear, you know, you're fasting, you're not eating, you're not drinking. How do you do it? But actually it's much deeper than that. It's what do we give up during this holy month of Ramadan to become better human beings, to connect better with our family and our community, to be more grateful for what we have, and to be more empathetic to others who may not have what we have. So we're gonna check in with our panelists, see what their reflections are, and get a little bit more into the details of what it's like to fast during Ramadan. I think our first panelist that we'll be talking to is Khadijah Hiram.
Yeah, so we want to hear from all of our panelists. So we have Khadijah Muhammad on here, we have Walid Jibril on here, we have Wahida Yasmin on here as well. And so we'd like for each of you, starting with Khadijah, to tell us a little bit about Ramadan means to you.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today to talk about Ramadan. And for me, generally, Ramadan is just a time to reflect, review, recalibrate, and just re-examine my commitment to the total submission to the will of my maker. So for me, it's just going back throughout the past year, examining who and what I have been doing, my actions, my thoughts, and just reaching out where need be to sort of start the month with a new slate. And obviously it's going to be a little complicated to start the month of Ramadan fasting, staying away from food, water, and might I add intimacy, just to gain nothing because I'm bearing a grudge with somebody, or I'm committing sin or something against someone else. So for me, it's just a really personal, internal decision for me to just think and make sure that my actions, my thoughts, and my intentions are all aligned with the purpose of the holy month of Ramadan, and hopefully being able to build the habits that I need to continue the rest of the year after Ramadan with the same intention and the same thoughtfulness and the same sincerity in my actions and in my worship towards my maker and my fellow human beings.
That's really very, very beautiful, Khadijah. I don't know, did you share where you work in the system? You're muted.
No, I am actually a program coordinator with TDL, Mount Sinai, and might I add, the best team in the whole of Mount Sinai. Yeah, so that's where I work. I've been with Mount Sinai. Actually, today is 1 year, 1 day that I've been with Mount Sinai, and it's been an amazing journey. And I'm so grateful for such an opportunity to just reflect on a month as dear to me as Ramadan. So thank you.
Yeah. Could you share with us what one of your favorite family traditions is during Ramadan?
Yeah, it's this one is very easy because when it comes to Ramadan, it's almost like a fight and a struggle to who is doing the most to achieve our maker's pleasure. So within my family, we're trying to see who is volunteering the most, who is contributing more money, more, time in serving the community. And just really for me personally, it's just cooking and serving the community during the breaking of the fast.
That's beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. Dr. Javed, are you available yet? You're our next panel.
Yes, I can speak. My apologies in traffic, my mismanagement, but I was actually listening into what Ruveda you had said and what Khadijah has already said. To me, Ramadan is really a time, as Khadijah was saying, to self-reflect. But I've also noticed that over last 10 years, I've started to feel differently about Ramadan, and I've learned new things about myself in Ramadan, both my ability to fast, but also what I learned through the fasting. And again, it's really when you haven't eaten for a while, I think there's a lot of emotions that come through, including a lot of anger that we have to control. And I think that kind of has been one of my bigger focuses, that control myself, my emotions, even in adversity. We're also recognizing that people who don't have food to eat or have other struggles, that they might have, they might not be feeling the same way as we are because of these other challenges that they have. So that's kind of what I think about. I didn't introduce myself. I'm the infection control director for Mount Sinai downtown in Brooklyn, and a hospital epidemiologist and an infectious disease doctor as well. And also my favorite family tradition really is at the time of Iftar, where we kind of get together to eat, and we make new type of foods and or exotic foods that we think of, we create. And the best thing is we never taste them before we kind of break our fast, so you never know how it's gonna taste. So most of the time we get very lucky. So that's kind of what we have fun with.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Well, what in doing some of our preparation for this program, you know, we realized as a group that the health system does do certain things to support us. But we are curious to know, Dr. Javed, what other things, well, one, could you share with us some of your experiences having that support?
So thank you.
And then
thank you,
before,
I think
I had part B for you, but well, go ahead, start with part A. Go ahead, Dr. Javed, I'm sorry.
All right, so for me, what I saw during this time was that during the last several years, I moved here about 4 years ago to Mount Sinai, and health system has been increasingly doing more and more things. And I really felt extremely happy when I saw the prayer room, especially in Brooklyn. I prayed there. I saw other people praying there and being just sitting there and praying, like kind of made you feel like part of the family, the Brooklyn family or Sinai family, that they're taking care of yourself. We have a prayer room in BI as well. These small things have been really exciting. Our spiritual care leaders here reached out and asked all of us at different times about like what we think is best to do. So like I think there is a lot more acknowledgement. It really made me feel great about being part of this family.
Yeah, I can share my first Ramadan here. I was really pleasantly surprised to find that the spiritual leaders here had set up dates and water for those who are fasting to break their fast with. So as many of you may not know this, but Muslims often, most of the time, break their fast with dates. So that someone went out of their way to get the specific food that we typically break our fast with, I thought was phenomenal. And sometimes it's those small things that make all the difference in the world. Dr. Javed, also wanted to pick on you a little bit more and ask you, what else could the system potentially do to support both our patients and our employees who observe Ramadan?
So we actually, even before this call, all of us were having conversations, and I think we would really love to hear from the audience as well. But what we were discussing really was that hey, during Ramadan, like that they take care of us so much. They make sure that and even we kept the dates out till the morning for people who would break start their fast, and if they have to eat something or drink, they would do that. That reminded me of time when I was in my training in my residency, and I would break my fast with drinking some water. I won't mention which place I was working in. There wasn't any acknowledgement of any special time for us at that time. So I think this really made me feel extremely good. But I think what else the health system, I think is thinking of and getting feedback from us. One of the things was that we were discussing was that Eid, that end of Ramadan, that several places in New York, for example, make it a holiday for children. And maybe that's a consideration to have. It's a much broader discussion, but it's a conversation we probably can start having that, hey, for Eid, we have the Eid after Ramadan and after Hajj. These are really special days like Christmas or similar significant events in other religions. So maybe there's exceptions that can be made for Muslim community here. But then again, like there's a lot of things to consider. So I'll be happy to, or I'll be excited to hear what everybody thinks about these things.
Thank you. Thank you. Hiram, do you want to bring it to our next panelist?
Yeah, so Wahida, can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, just, what does Ramadan mean to you? And then you can also talk about if you have any family traditions that you specifically like. And we'd love to hear more from you about Eid al-Fitr. That's something that Dr. Javed had just brought up. But I don't think that, we have such a focus on Ramadan because it's such a blessed month, but we usually don't talk about the big celebration that happens right after. And that's, I want you to talk a little bit more about what that is and what that means to you as well.
Sure, thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Wahida. I work as a patient navigator at the health center at Hudson Yards. To answer the question, what Ramadan means to me is that Ramadan is considered one of the holiest months of the year for Muslims around the world. To me, Ramadan is a time to increase one's sabr, which means patience in English. It brings you closer to Allah. In English, we say God. My whole life, Ramadan has held a special place in my heart. It's a time to come together as a family and appreciate one another while also celebrating the religious aspects of it. The fasting that we do during Ramadan is seen as an act of worship. For me, the fasting also serves as a reminder of what it feels like to be hungry and thirsty. It generates compassion for the needy people. I also self-reflect in that month and be grateful to God for everything we're given. I like telling myself Ramadan is a time to hit the reset button and a month of redemption. Some of the family tradition we share would be decorating the house together, engaging in charity together, increase visibility of Islamic materials around the home. So once Ramadan comes to an end, Muslims gather together to celebrate the breaking of the fast known as Eid al-Fitr. We celebrate this day through exchanging of gifts, wearing nice clean clothes, visiting friends and family, and of course, offering charity.
Thank you. Eid is such a fun time for everyone. I know for us as well, we always, in Ramadan, we look forward to decorating the house, and then right when Ramadan is over, that night, right before Eid, we like to decorate the house for Eid things. And so that's, really, really fun. Just also for me, I'd like to also reflect a little bit about all the different questions that we've asked so far. Ramadan is such it's a time that you look forward to. Right after Ramadan ends, actually, there's a whole period that people call the Ramadan Blues, if you will, where you're missing Ramadan so much. And then, right before it comes, you're getting so excited about it. And, you have all these preparations because it's such a spiritual month where that connection that you have with God, with the people around you, with yourself, it strengthens and it increases in a way that you don't really have in other months for whatever reason. It's just the blessing or the specialty of that month. And for me, one of the things that I enjoy most about Ramadan is being able to go to the mosque every night. And of course, it's varies from person to person, but there are so many, you see everybody there. Everyone from the community is there. Everyone's hanging out and praying together until sometimes 11 p.m., 12 a.m. And, they have to wake up the next morning, so early, 3 or 4 a.m., depending on where you're at in the world and depending on when dawn is for you. But, you would think there's a lot of sleep deprivation and obviously, you go hungry and things like that, but you love all that happens. And it sounds kind of crazy to say that, but you love staying up for that long and just getting that beautiful boost that you get when you see and interact with all these different people, and when you give in charity, because I think that, all of you have mentioned that charity and volunteering is such a huge part of this month. And Ruwaida, you want to talk a little bit about what you were saying? I think what you said, we were talking about this before, was beautiful, and that fasting actually kind of sets you up and gets you in that sort of mindset to give even more.
Yeah, I think, putting yourself in that state when you're fasting like that and praying as often as you do and connecting with God the way you do, it's just there's also a physiological thing that happens to you that gives you what feels to me anyway as a more direct conversation with God. In that communication, there is a self-improvement that happens, an improvement internally, but externally, how you interact with others. And I can't speak for all other faiths, but there are a number of faiths that fasting is sort of central to that connection for them as well. So that is sort of what I see as a universal theme. The thing I wanted to share as a tradition that I do with my kids is, and as a way for me to kind of teach them at an early-ish age, is that, so the meal that you break your fast with is called an iftar, which is the same root as iftar, which is breakfast in Arabic, is that we sponsor an iftar. I usually cook, and they help me. And we invite as many people who can come to come. And we ask for donations for a charity, usually a medical charity. And so that's our tradition. That's something we look forward to. It creates community. It allows us to give because we're giving of our time and our resources, but then allows our guests to enjoy a meal with us, but also give. And one year we did it in a culinary school that was employing folks who otherwise wouldn't have a profession or a job. So that was another way to give. So it's as much as you give, you actually want to give more. And to Khadijah's point, before the end of Ramadan, you want to give as much as you can. So I don't know, so many instances in our lives where we have that opportunity. And actually, I have the first week of Ramadan's okay for me. The second week is okay. The third week I struggle. And the fourth week I'm like, oh my God, it's almost over. And I'm going to miss all these people being around me. So it really is an amazing and a beautiful time of year. So.
And to expand on that just for a second, so there are 5 pillars of Islam, and one of the pillars is zakat, and that's giving, that's charity, but there's a requirement that Muslims have. It's about 2.5% of your wealth, your savings that you have that you give. But even besides just giving that, a lot of people like to give that zakat, that charity in Ramadan. But even besides that, people like to go, even like everyone is talking about, they like to go above and beyond even that. And so that's
and the other thing, I'm sorry to cut you off before I forget, I meant to say is, even if you can't give monetarily, you can give of your time.
Exactly.
And it's as good, if not better, actually. So yeah, sorry, Ram.
No, that's exactly what I was about to say, actually, your time and like you mentioned, volunteering and more. So I want to open it up to our panelists to talk about any other reflections that they have, and then maybe we'd like to hear a little bit from the audience after that.
Okay, so I would just like to say that on the subject of charity, the Prophet always said that the best charity is a charity you give to your family. So whilst we try to volunteer and give charity, it's also encouraged to take care of those immediate to you. Because sometimes you find that you have family that's struggling, but then in a bit to volunteer, you're outside doing charity whilst your family needs it the most. So I just wanted to point out that. And also that giving charity is also with just a smile. A smile is a form of charity. So regardless of what you have physically or resource-wise, charity is every day. Just bearing in mind that people are going through stuff and that it's not okay to burden them with your stuff and just assume that they're okay in itself is charity. Being mindful is charity. And also remember that giving charity shouldn't always be so visible. And that also the best form of charity is the one that's given in secret. When your right hand gives and your left hand doesn't see it. So I just wanted to say that. And on the subject of what Mount Sinai does for us as Muslims, I have not been here that long and I have not been on site, but I have been remote. And something that really struck me and a tear dropped when I saw it was in the beginning of Ramadan, my boss, the Chief Learning Officer, Diane, she sent an email on Ramadan. And it was not just the Wikipedia cut and paste email. I could see that she had done her research and that she was going above and beyond to try to acknowledge that there's a Muslim on the team and this is special for them. And it meant so much to me. So as leaders and as managers of teams, it's those little things. It's those little things that makes people believe and understand that you're there for them. And that allows them to trust you and feel safe with you. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to add.
That's awesome.
And about Eid. One last thing about Eid. So my father is somebody who doesn't like to look ostentatious. So he's always in, just the up and down. But on Eid day, he goes all out and he looks ravishing, even as an old man. So just wanted to say that.
It's the Muslim Met Gala.
Yes, the Muslim Met Gala. Thank you, Hiram.
Yeah, so yeah, I think what you said, it just totally resonates with me. I think the communication, the acknowledgement that people are fasting, same thing happened to me in my past, and to a point, even my team acknowledged, and they kind of were almost pampering me during my fasting, probably because of my age or something. But it was just an experience. It was just an experience that I hadn't had before. And I think that's one of the things we need to acknowledge. I think this organizations, I never thought that this organization will care about me and my religion this much. This does help. And I can tell you, yes, on Eid day, yeah, we get ready. We are ready. Yeah. So,
thank you.
Yeah, I'll end there.
Wahida?
To add on to what Khadijah said, while Muslims are expected to give charity throughout the year, known as zakat, the rewards for giving during Ramadan are considered even greater. So I actually really want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for this event, because this is really something new I'm seeing. And it's just a great representation of the Muslim community. And I'm just so very excited for it.
Yeah, no, I also have to say that there's a lot that the system and just even our at Mount Sinai Morningside, our chaplains even have just gone above and beyond. They've made sure that we've had a prayer space throughout, and they've really acknowledged the time for when others are for the night shift basically as well, and providing the dates and water has been so meaningful. And I think one other, thing about the prayer room, she's not on here today. She couldn't be with us, but I want to give a shout out to Esther Roman, our chaplain at Morningside, because she's, gone above and beyond to not only have a prayer room, but to beautify the prayer room. She's recently gotten it painted and just ordered paintings, Islamic calligraphy even, and it's, that's so meaningful and such a beautiful gesture. So Ruwaida, any other thoughts from you before we ask questions?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'd like to also give a shout out for the downtown campus. The chaplains here are phenomenal as well. The leadership here has been really supportive, and I think as a system as a whole, it's wonderful to be here, and to be able to have these conversations and reach out to folks for support as we need it. And these conversations are also important to me because, I really want us as a community to connect as fellow human beings and connect on the level of humanity. That's something I carry with me my whole life, and share wherever I can go, and hopefully have taught my children. So yeah, I'm really grateful to be here, and I wanted just to thank everyone for the opportunity. I think at this point, we will turn it over to Q&A, but I'd like to ask Ijaz if he had any comments before we turned it over to the Q&A.
And can you introduce yourself, Dr. Siddiqui?
Yeah, so my name is Ijaz Siddiqui. I am working cardiology in the MSH hospital. I'm also the Muslim liaison hospital, as well as working with special care department. Acting imam, because it's difficult to get a permanent resident imam on board yet. So I'm sorry, first of all, I was busy with the emergency department, so a little late joining in. And I do want to add one thing. If it may have already been said in the initial presentation, so forgive me if it's a repetition. But on the part of Ramadan, it's all the good things that have been said. It's all those the discipline and all those rituals, not rituals, all the steps that we go through. That actually, is basically a training session. Ramadan is like a training session for Muslims to prepare for the remainder of the 11 months. So we need to basically, this is how you prepare yourself. And so you get involved with charity, be nice to others, and which is all required in Islam as a Muslim to begin with. But again, this is reminded you, it trains you, and hopefully you continue that in the remainder of your life. And above all, one thing that Ramadan teaches is the discipline, to bring discipline in your life. That's why you stop eating when you have to. When you wake up in the night, as soon as the time comes, you stop eating, and you don't do a whole lot of things during that time, and then you break your fast exactly when it was told, when the time is there. So all that thing is basically discipline. And if you go to the root work of Psalm, which is the thing, is basically that was being used. Sorry, I'm getting a call, but that was being used as a training for the horses in Arab time, because they were being restrained from a lot of things, so that they are prepared for the war, because that was a thing in Arab. So that's basically what it is, a training period. I just want to emphasize that this is actually a training for you to continue the good things and good habits and good work and good deeds throughout the year, so you are a better person overall. Apart from that, it's great. I mean, we've been trying all the good stuff in MSH mostly, but I tried to get in touch with our other sister hospitals and other facilities to make sure that that they have whatever facility we can for prayers, and for Ramadan we do extra work. And we at MSH, we have a great star arrangements. We have about somewhere between 15 to 25 people coming with families, with visitors, visiting patients and all that stuff. So we do that a lot. We've got a good support, excellent from the institution itself. Over here we have a regular mosque and all that, so it makes a big difference. So yeah, I mean, institution have helped over years. A lot. We sent out the broadcast message, which we heard all over the system, and all that stuff. So things are improving. We do try to make sure that we can get more services available for the Muslim community at large.
Thank you very much. I think Cesar has got some questions for us now. Thank you so much, Ijaz.
So I do. I'm sitting here on mute, really excited, learning a lot of things. So thank you to folks who have been contributing to the chat. So I have a couple of quick fire questions for you guys. I'd love to hear some of your feedback. And then I would also invite members from the audience, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand or even open up your video and ask a question. So a couple quick questions. So one of the things we haven't touched straightforward, we actually have a cool title for that. We came up with a cool title for this event, right? Ramadan Reflections. It's not about empty stomachs, it's about full hearts. So who wants to take that? How did we come up with that piece? Like,
I can take it.
Yep, you take it. We were talking about it, and then I think Roida just kind of had this beautiful, she just popped in with this title. We were like, oh my gosh, that's perfect.
Yeah, so I touched upon a little bit on my comments, and I welcome others who are here with me to comment as well. But not eating and not drinking is only a portion of what it's about, right? It's really what else do we abstain from that makes us better human beings and individuals in the world, and what does it heighten for us that we can improve upon within ourselves, within the community, and how in those actions do we get closer to our God? So for me, it may be difficult to abstain from eating and drinking and other things, but really what's deeper than that kind of fine tunes us as human beings and as Muslims in the world in our ibadah and our worshiping. So that's kind of why it came to mind for me. I'll see what others want to comment.
Yeah, what I was just thinking, like a little bit on the same comments that Rita, you're making. For us, for me at least, and I think for all of us, fasting is a state of prayer. Is a whole, like it's a long prayer, but we are praying basically. We are offering a prayer just like we do for 5 times a day. It's the same similar concept for us. So it's a connection. It's a deep-rooted connection that's kind of trying to bring us close to our Maker, but also trying to make us better people in that state of prayer. I think there's a lot that comes out during Ramadan. And then like at the end of Ramadan, we thank our God with the Eid that we celebrate the ability to go through this prayer together. I think it really means a lot to all of us all the time whenever we get the opportunity and are able to fast. It's a huge deal for us.
Yeah, for me, the title was very apt because when we finished Ramadan, I remember talking to one of my colleagues and she was like, how are you doing? How was Eid? And I said, I'm still recovering. I'm physically depleted and exhausted, but my soul is nourished and full. So for me, that's just what the title says. It's just, I don't know about anyone on this panel, but is it just me, or during Ramadan, when you read the Quran or recite the Quran, you see things that you didn't see throughout the year?
Absolutely.
It's almost like, yeah, you have like renewed meaning, and it's more insightful, and there's more clarity. And I think hunger does that. It does that. When you're hungry, your brains function at a heightened level. It's a thing. Maybe I need to try it. Yeah, because the hungrier you are, the sharper your brain. And I think that's what Ramadan does for us. It just allows you to see things better and interpret things with a little more resolve. And yeah, really, that's what the title means to me. It's just yeah, depleted physical ability, but very replenished soul.
No, absolutely. And just one point for the audience, and Wahida, I'll let you, give your reflection. But in the month of Ramadan, Muslims try to, if possible, they just read more Quran in general. Some people try to finish the entire Quran. A lot of mosques will finish the entire Quran in prayer, in nightly prayers. And so you have you're reading it once again. And like Khadijah said, a lot of times you're seeing things that you didn't before and you're looking at it from a different way. I think that, I can definitely say that every year is kind of like that. You're finding something new or you're learning something new and you're reflecting on it in a whole nother way or acting on it in a whole nother way. So thank you, Khadijah. What about you, Wahida?
Yeah, so I find the title to be very catchy. It's so much more than just giving up food and water from sunrise to sunset. It's just a time to feed the soul, the corners you have left untouched and neglected. It's just time to recharge and give yourself a boost to strengthen you for what it is to come.
Thank you. So any other questions or any other comments from the audience? I know it seems like there are a lot of Muslims on here too. If you want to give or talk about your reflection or experience, we're open to that.
And I'd like to see folks come on camera if they can.
And while folks are being inspired to do so, I wanted to give a little bit of testimony from outside of the sphere. So kind of to break the third wall a little bit. I am not a Muslim. I was raised as a Catholic. And I'll be baptizing my child in about a month into that faith. And it's really great to hear there are elements of my faith where there is an opportunity for self-sacrifice, whether that be Lent or that which is a 40-day period, or whether that be, if we take some more different elements to it, the opportunity to give up meat on Fridays or those. But it's really great and kind of empowering and deepening to hear how other folks practice their faith and use that opportunity to take something away in order to generate more, to improve oneself, right? To take an opportunity, the same concept of sacrifice or charity where you're giving or removing, but it's actually a way to develop yourself. And I really just love hearing that aspect to it, that piece, because you could always, there isn't enough, even if we have friends in the community, we rarely have this direct interfaith conversation. So I just wanted to give that commentary. Say, I really appreciate where that conversation brought me. And I want to say thank you guys all for giving that opportunity. I see a lot of cameras, a lot of faces. Feel free to raise your hand, I guess, and take it for a spin.
Go ahead. Dave.
I want to thank everyone, first of all, so much for sharing your reflections and experiences of Ramadan. My name is Jabe. I'm Assistant Director for Spiritual Care downtown. It's really amazing. I remember learning about Ramadan as a kid. I didn't know any Muslim kids or friends when I was a young person. And I always assumed, oh, they're fasting for the whole month. It must be such like a sad time. And when I finally learned, when I made friends with some folks who were Muslim a little bit, when I was a little bit older, it was such a surprise for me to discover that Ramadan is actually a happy time and a joyful time. And it's just an amazing way to reframe giving something up, to reframe the kind of mental and spiritual and physical discipline as something that doesn't have to be sad and make us unhappy or resentful, but there's actually opportunities to find joy and connection and happiness in that as well. And I just really want to thank you all for sharing your experiences around that today.
Thank you, Jabe. And it seems like, we've heard from Ruwaida and others how much you and everyone else has done for BI in downtown. So thank you.
Yeah, Jabe and Joe Hirschman have been amazing to us. So I thank you both very much.
Any others? Again, please feel free to raise your hands. That might be a little bit easier.
I don't see any hands, so I will insert a quick question. Why dates? You said dates and water were a very common way to break the fast. Why is that?
First of all, it's because it's a tradition of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He would break his fast first with 3 dates. So really, that's why. But and dates are very nutritious too.
There's a number of nutritional attributes to dates. I can tell you some of them, but not all of them. But yes, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to break his fast with 3 dates, and it's also tradition to have an odd number. That's another thing to share. There are a number of fruits. Maybe we're taking us off topic, that are mentioned in the Quran. Dates is one of them. Dates, olives. There's 2 more. I forgot what the other 2 are. Figs. Yeah, figs. And what's the 4th? There's another one. Is it grapes? There's 4.
Hold on, we can have Ramadan Jeopardy as the next round.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Another quick question.
But I think it's not required. So, I think there's flexibility. But also, I think it's when I think when I eat dates at the end of my fast, it almost re-energizes me in 2 seconds. It has so much nutrition, or maybe it's a belief, but it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
To add on to what everyone said, it is also sunnah, which same is the adoption of the practices and ways of Muhammad.
So I think Salman actually had a comment he wanted to make.
I just want to say thank you for everyone for sharing their kind of reflections on Ramadan. I'm one of the psychiatrists here in Mount Sinai, Beth Israel, and I've been here for 9 years. And so just kind of reflecting on my experiences of Ramadan in the system, it's been great as a resident, as a fellow. All the colleagues have always been kind of very supportive, and even providing coverage if I have to take days off for Eid or go to Friday prayer. So it's been really several years of very supportive staff and colleagues. So and kind of for me, it's Ramadan just another kind of reminder. Hey, just a reminder, kind of be more mindful and being there for our patients and other individuals in the hospital. Something that we can hopefully continue carrying over on a daily basis. Yeah.
Thank you, Salman. So I think 2 things to shed light on. So sorry, we see what you posted, what you wrote here, about the Ramadan Blues. And then there's also, so we can talk about that. And then after that, I'd like to talk about what Melissa wrote in the chat in terms of what we can do for our patients and, try to enhance the patient experience, and then also for our staff. So does anyone want to talk about Ramadan Blues and how we keep that energy going, if possible, throughout the year?
Okay. So for me, Ramadan Blues, it's good for me because I don't want to eat for the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So if I could shed 2 pounds, that's a bonus. But on a more serious note, again, the traditions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, allows us to continue with Ramadan even when it's not the month of Ramadan. So we are encouraged to fast on Mondays and Thursdays. And this allows us to keep the fasting going, and also allows us to be more mindful and again, more reflective on our thoughts and our actions during the year. Also, it's just doing all the things that we used to do in Ramadan, but doing them in bite sizes so that it's not overwhelming during the rest of the year. So if you're volunteering 2 hours during Ramadan every night, maybe volunteer an hour every week after Ramadan. If you're reciting the Quran, like you're reciting 4 chapters during Ramadan, maybe recite a quarter of a page just to keep it going and make it doable for you, and then helps also build the muscle for when it's Ramadan again.
Yeah, I think that so personally, I'll say that with me and a lot of friends and others that I know, it gets to be really difficult to keep up that Ramadan spirit, because Ramadan is such a you reach this beautiful peak, but it's you keep going in waves, I feel like, throughout the year. Their highs and their lows, just like with everything else. But really to get, you going, it's that consistency. So like Khadijah was saying, even if it's like a quarter, or even a line or two, whatever it is, of the Quran that you want to read, or if you want to fast once a month or less than that, even, it's just being consistent with whatever you can do is kind of the way to keep that momentum going, however little it may be.
I was gonna say, for honest, it's a struggle, right? It's not easy. It's like any other thing, to Ijaz's comment, being disciplined and staying on task with things. And so hopefully that training in that month, does the trick, but sometimes, we kind of roll back and then we have to build it up again for human beings. But it's important just to keep trying, I think.
So Melissa, did you want to talk about what you had written in the chat?
Sure, I'm happy to. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I don't know if I have answers, right? I just had it made me think of it just raised my curiosity, and I'm brand new to Mount Sinai. So it's been really lovely to join the team. Khadijah has been awesome already. Thank you. So, I've worked in other large healthcare systems for most of my career, and I don't know if I've ever seen water bottles out or opportunities for things like that. I mean, we have acknowledgement and awareness, I believe, but it does make me think of just kind of to get the wheels turning. Obviously patients have medical things, there might be exceptions for them for the fast, right? But as far as for visitors, to feel welcome, and even for staff who might not normally be interfacing with people who are fasting at that time, I'm wondering, it makes me curious about other things that maybe could be done. And I don't know if things are done, right? Because I'm brand new.
Ijaz has something in the chat. Do you want to share that with the group? You're muted, Ijaz.
Yeah, so at during of Ramadan, we have iftar arrangements, of course, with the help of spiritual care and our cafeterias, this food facility. But we also reach out to our, all our patient areas, inpatient, outpatients, visiting, and we make sure that they know that during iftar time, if there are visitors there or their patients for outpatient clinics late, and patients available, that to let them know that we are, have these arrangements. We do ask them if it's a larger family members, whatever, to let me know in advance so we can, we can add additional food, but mostly we have enough. And, and we do get a regular influx of, just walk-in Muslims who are having to be in the hospital to just join us. And, and we also have enough, we always give them extra, especially dates or something else, whatever, in case they will be here overnight late, or for employees who are work overnight shift to break the sahur at that time also. So we make sure we have plenty, of all the food and water and dates available. So there's never a shortage of that. And our spiritual care department is really great help in facilitating
amazing.
That.
Yeah, I wonder how we can, sort of, I think some of that happens across all sites, but I think at least for our site, I don't know if there's an active identification of Muslim employees or patients per se, where we're able to identify them and then, actively give them something or just communicate with them even. So I think that's a thing that I'd love to take back after this. Lubna, you have your hand up.
Oh yeah, I wanted to chime in earlier. First of all, this is an amazing event. And I really quickly remembered 15 years ago, I'm not going to tell you how old I am. I was an administrative fellow and I was sitting in a senior leadership meeting, and that was the first time they had ever heard of Ramadan and someone fasting, because we had our meetings in the evening and I wouldn't eat the dinner that was served until the sun went down. So it's pretty amazing that it's so common now and more people know about it. And then I also wanted to chime in during the how do you continue the process throughout the year. And it's a lot of us build a stronger community during Ramadan. We go to the mosques, we get together with family, we invite friends over. So I think if we're able to continue that community connection and attachment throughout the year, which I try to do with my friends and family, I think that really helps everyone kind of continue their practice throughout the year. So, and I love this feel of the Mount Sinai community right now. So thank you for that. And thank you for doing this. This is great.
Yeah, I also totally agree that I think there's an evolution that's ongoing. But what we are finding here, for example, the dates. And I remember a conversation with Jay about like, hey, maybe we can keep the dates available in the morning. But just thinking about what Ijaz said, and I think they are more evolved, more advanced in their understanding and support, and maybe we can learn some of the things they're doing it at Mount Sinai Hospital and see what we can implement in other places as well. Because I do, like, during this Ramadan and during this crisis of the pandemic itself, I actually had several Muslim people who were admitted, and it becomes hard for them to eat at iftar. Right, if the patient is there, and I remember several conversations I had with some patients that what should we do at a time when we were not even allowing visitors in. And I think that there is a lot of things that we did, so we did, and we did support them, but there's a lot of things that we could do proactively to have things available that are not perishable. Not necessarily like we can do the same things as having elaborate meals, but have some non-perishables and other things available for family members too. So I think that's the beauty of this kind of conversation. I really am thankful for Sinai and all of you guys to get together, because we want to have these conversations again and again and improve what we do and do better and better, and have more get-togethers like this, understand, build up on each other. I'll stop.
Yeah, it sounds like we have more homework to do and more meetings like this to have. So at this point, I want to thank everyone for joining and turn it over to Freddie for some closing remarks.
Thank you, everyone. We in the Asian Resource Network, along with all of the other Mount Sinai Hospital employee resource groups and the Office for Diversity and Inclusion, have been working so hard to provide these safe spaces and these different opportunities to share and learn from each other. And we also do want to amplify our colleagues' voices in these calls for change to create this more diverse, inclusive, and equitable workplace. We all deserve it. Our patients and their families deserve to be welcomed while they're under the hospital's care. Thank you very much for your time. And please know that the recording will be posted on ODI's YouTube page, and we welcome you to share it with any of your colleagues who weren't able to join us. And we also invite you to participate in this evening's Reflections of Healing and Hope that the Black Leaders Advocating for Change and Community Employee Resource Group is hosting virtually as a part of the moment to reflect on George Floyd's life and to contemplate the ways to keep his memory and his legacy alive. We can share that link in the chat, and there's also a hospital link to post any thoughts, prayers, reflections on a live wall regarding George Floyd's death anniversary. But thank you again, everyone. We hope to see you at the next event. We will be working for a follow-up event with EJAZ and the Islamic community at large of Mount Sinai, and ARN will also be working on hosting other kinds of events. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
See you next.